Hey everybody, Joe Joseph here for thedailysheeple.com, and this is your news shot. Let's go to the hedge. ZeroHedge.com, they're mirroring a Moon of Alabama blog piece from Snowden to Russiagate, the CIA, and the media. Now, this is a very interesting thing to talk about because for quite some time, the CIA has had its hands in the media for, well, basically to get its way, and for the government to get its way. Sometimes for the government not to get its way, depending on who's in power. A lot of people say that the deep state works against President Trump, that the deep state didn't work so much against President Obama, but was a tool of the globalists. And we go back in time to the 1970s and the Church Committee, which exposed a lot of the CIA shenanigans that went on with the media. And then, of course, we can go all the way back to the creation of Operation Mockingbird, where prominent news personalities were coerced, sometimes pressured, oftentimes compensated for being a tool for the powers that shouldn't be. And then, of course, some good intentioned people in Congress decided to enact legislation to help prevent that from happening. And I'm talking about the Smith-Mundt Act, which outlawed propaganda campaigns and ops in the United States. And then a couple of years back, that was conveniently and quietly repealed. And that's not to say that they weren't doing propaganda operations before, but at least then it was illegal to do so, and now it's not. You know, we're very fast approaching a time where a good friend of mine, YouTuber Nothing Fancy, once said, when everything's illegal, nothing's illegal. They're quickly making everything illegal for us, and meanwhile, and very quietly, they're rolling back any sort of protections that might be there for you. You know, one of the few positive things of the Obama administration was the rolling back of the 1033 program. And of course, I'm talking about arming and militarizing our local police, utilizing what they call surplus military gear, which really isn't surplus at all. It's just more along the lines of, we don't want it anymore. There's nicer stuff out there. So we're just going to go and we're going to make it conveniently available in like a cornucopia of weaponry for you to be able to do what you will with it. Private police, or, you know, police, local police. And that's exactly what's happened. Folks, there's no reason in the world that you can give me that justifies local police having an MRAP. Absolutely none. I don't care what you say. Those instances where you might utilize that and need it are few and far between. And it's just a quick phone call to the National Guard. Hey, why don't you come on down and help take care of some business for me? You know, if it gets that way, have the governor declare a state of emergency, roll in the National Guard who has MRAPs, and let them handle it. If it's out of your freaking control. I'm telling you, folks, we cannot fall prey to the propaganda that's being put out there that convinces people that we need this, okay? The terrorists are nothing but a boogeyman with no face and no border to get you to fear so that they can do this kind of stuff. And what's the real purpose of militarizing the local police? Simple. Control. It all boils down to control. And because they know that the things that they're doing, the foreign policy that they're working, the domestic policies that they've brought forward are causing a lot of strife and a lot of issues with the American public, and they're getting pissed. That's why as you see all the propaganda out there saying, oh, the economy's great, it's growing like crazy. It's growing for Wall Street. It's not growing for you. Okay, what you bring home in your paycheck is not growing rapidly because Wall Street is doing so well. And I'm sure a lot of you can attest to that. A lot of you can attest to maybe it is being maybe it is a better environment and you're making more money now. I don't know. You know, a lot of people look at how Bitcoin has grown, and a lot of people have made a lot of money on Bitcoin. And good for you if you have. But you can't go and look at these things as permanent solutions, you know, and just go out and say, hey, yeah, the economy, it's good, it's booming, it's recovered. It's not. There are some deep underlying issues with that. There's deep underlying issues with our foreign policy, with our clandestine operations, in everything that government puts its hand on. I can tell you there are deep-rooted issues, any one of which can destroy life as you know it. It's bad. But they need this propaganda to be able to control the narrative and keep this thing a-going. Says the promotion of the alleged Russian election hacking in certain media may have grown from the successful attempt of U.S. intelligence services to limit the publication of NSA files obtained by Ed Snowden. In May 2013, Ed Snowden flew to Hong Kong, if you all remember. I remember like it's yesterday. And handed internal documents from the NSA to Glenn Greenwald and others associated with The Guardian, and separately to Barton Gellman, who worked for The Washington Post. And some of those documents were published. And several other international news sites published additional material, though the mass of NSA papers that Snowden allegedly acquired never saw public light. In 2013, The Guardian was forced by the British government to destroy its copies of the Snowden archive. In August 2013, Jeff Bezos bought The Washington Post for $250 million. In 2012, Bezos, the founder of Amazon, had already been in cooperation with the CIA because together they invested in a Canadian quantum company known as, who else? D-Wave. And in March 2013, Amazon signed a $600 million deal conveniently providing computer services and computing services for the CIA. In October 2013, Pierre Omidyar, the owner of eBay, founded First Look Media. And guess who he hired? Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras. Now, the total planned investment was some $250 million, they say. It took up to February 2014 until the new organization launched its first site, The Intercept, and only a few NSA stories ever appeared in it. Now, The Intercept, it says, is a rather mediocre site. Its management is said to be chaotic, and it publishes a few stories of interest. And one might ask if it ever meant to be a serious news outlet. Omidyar has worked together with the U.S. government to force regime change onto the Ukraine, and he has strong ties to former President Obama. Now, Snowden has copies of some 20,000 to 58,000 NSA files, only which 1,182 had been published. Now, the motivation for Bezos and Omidyar to get involved in this is not clear, really. It says Bezos is estimated to own a shameful $90 billion. And the Washington Post, of course, was just chump change. It really just had to be kind of like a trophy piece for him, I can only imagine. Omidyar is worth $9.3 billion. I mean, he's poor, and I guess in relation to Bezos. But the use of billionaires to mask what are, in fact, intelligence operations is not new. Okay? The Ford Foundation for decades has been a CIA front. George Soros' Open Society Foundation is one of the premier regime change operations. You know, they're the ones that bring about these color revolutions, right? Go back to the 1950s and look at the Reese Committee and what the Reese Committee found as far as the endowments. Again, the Ford Foundation, the Guggenheims, the Rockefellers. We could go on and on. All of these foundations pushing their agenda by using their dollars, you know, and the CIA helping things along, or the the OSS prior to the CIA. I mean, it is an unbelievable thing that happens. That's why everybody, a lot of people ask me, well, why do you pay so much attention to those conspiracy theorists? And let me tell you why. Because at the end of the day, what I come to find out is most people that are in independent media that are doing this are doing it because they're truth seeking. They're trying to get answers that they can't get through your mainstream channels because they've been lied to so much that they just can't take it anymore. I don't understand how any of the baby boomers even can respect mainstream media for as much as it's been discredited, especially over the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, it's unbelievable. The degradation, the quality. Now it's become, we have to be first. It doesn't matter if we're right. That's the mentality that happens in today's media. And it's shameful because what ends up happening is you've got people that are genuinely seeking the truth that are doing their due diligence. And I'll take a case in point, Las Vegas. A lot of people throw out questions that question the official narrative because the official narrative is just so outrageous and runs counter to the witnesses who aren't tinfoil hatters that just so happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, that just so happen to have their cell phones on and their cameras going when all this went down. And still, people ridicule these victims for questioning the story that runs counter to their own life experience. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to say I think the biggest mistake that independent media and, people that run private websites or blogs do is we often draw conclusions based on very incomplete or very, very loose evidence, really, is what it boils down to. Why? Because they're so desperate sometimes just to get something out there that's at least more truthful than what's out there. And that's a mistake. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're also alienating those people that are genuinely seeking the truth. That's why I always err on the side of caution, and you'll very seldomly, if ever, see me state something as fact as long as I don't have those facts in front of me. I can't. And the other thing is you certainly don't try and push, these beliefs or anything else on other people. All you do is, this is the information I have. This is the questions that I have based on the information I have. And this is where I stand. Now, folks, take it from there. And you can take 9/11, Las Vegas, the Oklahoma City bombing, any one of these, and we could tear it to pieces and find unbelievable holes and gaps in their stories, inconsistencies, and just outright falsehoods. But unless we hold ourselves to a higher standard and maintain, and I say this because we still have this, maintain the moral high ground, then they will never, ever win or gain credibility on us. But we have to continue to do that. And that really is of the utmost importance. So as I've said before, and I'll say it again, this whole fake news op, okay, the whole Russiagate, the whole thing, the CIA's participation in media manipulation is going to and will continue to bite the mainstream media in the butt until they finally figure out that this can't happen. And it's already showing in the statistics. You take a look at the ratings of mainstream media and it's just going down the toilet. Going down the toilet. So keep on supporting independent media, folks. Keep on holding independent media to a high standard. And how do you do that? Comment. Comment on the videos. Comment in the articles. Start to give feedback to the authors, to the site owners, so that they can see, am I being effective? Where am I going wrong? How can I clarify this? We won't know and can't understand unless we get feedback. And also contribute. If you can't or don't have the resources to start your own website, if you're too shy to go in front of a camera or whatever, shoot an email to the sheeple. You can always email me, tdsjoe@comcast.net. tdsjoe@comcast.net. And if there's something that interests you, I'd be glad to cover it. I mean, these are things that we can do to work together, but we have to do that. Because as long as we don't work together and as long as we buy into the divide and conquer that's promulgated and put out there by the CIA, special interests, big corporations, lobbyists, you name it, we're never going to win this battle. But folks, we are David, and that is Goliath. And I'll tell you what, David beat him once, and we can beat him again. I'm Joe Joseph. This was thedailysheeple.com's news shot. Feel free to comment below and visit our website at thedailysheeple.com. # wake the flock up. Have a great day, everybody.